Hey everyone, this is me, TimeLiarG, and welcome to another video game myths, urban legends, secrets, and rumors video. This one isn't going to be too long. There's way too many mysteries to cover in Pokemon, so I'll just be talking about 7 or so. If you like the video, you can like it, and you can also read a comment on your own mysteries that you want to see for a part 2. So thank you all for watching, and take care. This memorial site for this man's Onix always stuck out to me. I didn't play the Gen 1 remakes too much when I was younger, but when I reached the Sevi Islands, I kind of just sat around this little island and took in the view, this unique piece of scenery here. And it would always make me a bit sad when I saw this when I was a kid. It's probably the first time in a video game where I actually felt that way. You can place a can of lemonade on the memorial and Tectonic's owner here, and he will give you the TM for a facade. There are some people that thought that this was actually the Onix buried in the ground, which is pretty funny. I figured there would be more to do here back in the day, but it's just a neat piece of scenery. Nothing else to really see around here, nothing else to really do. When talking about mysteries in the Pokemon games, this one comes up a lot. In Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, you can find this unique cathedral or church in Hearthome that's impossible to miss. It's a really large structure, and it's completely unique, obviously. There's nothing to do or find in this cathedral. It's completely empty except for a lot of characters who speak some wisdom to you. What gets people the most, though, is how there's no music inside. Normally in a video game that's full of music and you enter an area where there is none, it really makes you think something important is going to happen. A cutscene is going to play, a boss fight is going to start. In any other video game, obviously. Especially in a unique place like this. I and many others online think this is where you would obtain some kind of event item, item distribution such as the Azure Flute or some other kind of event item. It seems like this place would be very important to the story as well, but there's just nothing here. I have nothing else to really say about this, but it is very, very interesting. There are so many rumors with this one. The Vermilion City construction site. This is probably one of the most popular mysteries in Pokemon. Well, is this construction site supposed to be in Vermilion City? I'm sure a lot of people beat the Elite Four and came back here to check if anything was built, but it's just nothing ever gets built here whatsoever. And Game Freak had a few chances to do something with this as well, especially in Gold, Silver, Crystal. I haven't played the Let's Go games, but I don't think there's actually anything there in those either. I stopped playing Pokemon after, well, not after Sun and Moon, before Sun and Moon. My last games were X and Y and the Ruby and Sapphire remakes, which I didn't like too much. But anyway, I have no idea what was supposed to be here, what was supposed to be built here, if there was something, cut during development, or it was just always intended to be unfinished. I don't know. I always thought that it was supposed to be some kind of battle facility, like in future games, but not exactly too sure. There's no evidence for that, I'm pretty sure. The Moss Deep Space Station or Space Center and the White Rock. So there's just one category here. I'm just putting these in one category because, the White Rock is connected to the space station. I think that one woman right next to the rock says that the engineers inside the station, pray or wish for luck by the rock or something along the lines of that. I don't really remember what the exact dialogue is, but, I remember a whole lot of videos when I was younger where people would interact with the rock in a certain way, kind of like on Birth Island with the Oxys, to try to get, Jirachi out of it. It would actually show them encountering Jirachi on the White Rock. I think there was one in more recent times showing someone, like, actually traveling to the moon or something to catch it, which was, I think that was more recent. I don't think I saw that when I was too young, but yeah. With some of these rumors and everything, I grew up with Gen 3. I'm only 27, so, I'm sure some viewers are older, and, they didn't see some of these rumors when they were younger. If they did, they were old enough to realize, these are distribution events. I think I knew it was a distribution event back then as well. I don't remember if I fell for these before, but I wouldn't blame anyone for falling for rumors like that. But yeah, it is weird how Jirachi is only obtainable through that Coliseum bonus disc. I'm pretty sure it was distributed elsewhere as well, but just the fact it doesn't have a unique area like Birth Island or anything, I always found that kind of strange. I always thought that was pretty odd. But, maybe this one White Rock was actually meant to be related to Jirachi in some way during the development of the game, considering, the astronauts or whatever would wish for luck, or the scientists would wish for luck near the rock for the rocket launches. So, I always thought that there was at least some connection there. Another number of things that are strange with this place, the space station, the space center, is it barely plays a role in the story whatsoever. If I remember correctly, it's Team Magma wanting to steal something from there and, make a volcano erupt. It seems very, abrupt. I know Pokemon stories are, there's just, like, barely anything there, but Still, though, it's just the plot doesn't make any sense whatsoever during this. I guess maybe the development could have been rushed at this point. It's still very strange, though, if you actually read the dialogue. One of the engineers inside actually says your playtime in a cryptic manner as well. It says the number of weeks you've played instead of hours. And even stranger is that you can't access this place when Groudon or Kyogre are causing the weather issues as well. Which I don't remember if there's any other place like that where you're blocked off from going somewhere during that moment in the game. The games, I should say. But it's very strange that this building in specific is locked during that moment. I don't know if that's some programming quirk or what. I personally can't think of anything. And I would mention the differences in between Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald. Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald, but yeah, that's probably them changing the design of the space station in between games just because they weren't satisfied with it. I don't think there's a mystery there. In Ruby and Sapphire, it was just this generic green building, and in Emerald, they added the rocket behind it, and it looks a whole lot better. I think there's an item behind it in Emerald. I could be wrong. That's just what I'm remembering. But no, this entire place is very strange. It is definitely odd. A lot of rumors I could talk about with it as well. The Altering Cave. This is just a troll. This is an absolute time waster. So Altering Cave is a cave that opens up after you beat the Elite Four in Emerald. It is not in Ruby and Sapphire. It is in Fire Red and Leaf Green, though. It just goes under a different name, I think. I don't remember what it was called in that game. I only visited it once because I had my fair share in Emerald, because I spent probably, I want to say, a week and a half going back to the cave to see if anything would open up. My one friend did the same, and we spent hours upon hours just trying to figure out what to do with it, because, I had access to the internet back then, but I don't think I bothered looking it up, actually. And normally we watch YouTube videos on this stuff. There was one rumor that we saw saying you could get mythics there, but we didn't believe it. I was smarter then. I didn't fall for that, but eventually I actually did find a shiny Zubat in the cave, which was awesome. And I kind of wish I kept that. I wish I kept my game cartridge, because, I deserve something for, just climbing inside this random cave for who knows how long. I don't know how many hours it was. It was definitely over the span of a week, though. And, nowadays everybody knows that this was just to distribute Gen 2 Pokemon. I don't know if it was only inaccessible in America, that event, or if they made it accessible over in Japan. I'm not exactly too sure. I didn't really look into it too much. But yeah, this was going to be a place where you could go to get Gen 2 Pokemon during an event. Again, don't know where this event was available, if it was available at all. I know it was unused in America, though. I'm pretty certain on that. It was just pretty funny. I managed to find a shiny Zubat in here. I didn't connect the two. I didn't think that this cave would give me a higher chance of getting shinies. I figured it was just random chance due to how long I was there. But yeah, it's really interesting. You have this cave here that only opens up after you beat the game. Really makes you think like there's a legendary there, because that's normally what happens. You beat Pokemon. What do you really do in the post game aside from getting legendaries? It's pretty funny just having a cave that with nothing in it just drives you insane. I love stuff like that in video games. I know everything is data mined now, sadly, but next time you get a new game that's hopefully not filled with propaganda, next time you buy a new game that's made by some kind of wholesome indie developer, just maybe not look at guides, don't look up anything online, just cruise through the game without any knowledge on it beforehand. Just experience that. Would be pretty fun to do. Smeargle's tail colors. So they just really couldn't figure out which color they wanted on Smeargle's tail. Originally it was this pinkish red color. And I'm just going to call it red from now on, by the way, to keep it more simple. But, it started off as red, except at the same time in strategy guides, I believe, it was depicted as green officially. Like, this was official art. It was green. But in the game, it was red. Gold, silver, crystal. And then in Pokemon Stadium, too, you had... I think that what the deal with the Stadium games was if you nickname a Pokemon, it changes its color slightly. I could be completely wrong in that. I barely played those games. I didn't own it for that long. I believe I rented it out somewhere. My father, rented it out for me. I haven't played those games that long, but I think what I've read online is that's what the concept was. So a Smeargle's tail color in that is it's just completely random. There's like purple, blue, the red color and the green. I think there's green. So you have that in Stadium 2. And because Coliseum and XD reuse, models from the Stadium games, it's red in those games as well. And when it's shiny, it's blue. And then I'm probably going to get confused saying all this stuff. I'm reading off script right now. But, and then, in just Pokemon, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, it's just, it goes back to green, and I believe it stays like that permanently. And aside from that, they couldn't decide what color they wanted, and there's probably some examples I'm missing with this as well. But, I don't know, it's just some kind of oddity with Smeargle's tail color. Speaking of Smeargle and the Altering Cave, this is very similar to the Altering Cave, so... it's called Artisan's Cave. I guess the original intent was just to have Smeargle in it, because that's the only thing that's in here, aside from some vitamins you can find. But this is I don't want to say giant, but it's a rather huge dungeon-like room with just vitamins all over the place, and Smeargle. I feel like this was something else originally in development, because it's big enough where you would have some of those rock puzzles, even though they're not in here. I'm just saying this feels like a room where you would have rock puzzles on a legendary or something. It's very strange that, you just have this cave. I want to say with nothing in it, but, Artisan's Cave, Smeargle, it just has Smeargle in it. Very strange stuff. And, just the way you enter it and exit it in the Battle Frontier in Emerald is just, it's not in any other game. It's not in Fire Red or Leaf Green. It's such an obscure location as well. You have to fight that Sudowoodo, and then you go down the waterfall, you head to the left, and there's the cave. And you walk through the cave, and you go up to the top, and there's just this unique area just for Smeargle. Why? Why is this here? I have no theories for this, aside from the fact that it might have had a legendary at some point. I don't know. What would be cool is if... I apologize for the shiny hunters out here for even... coming up with this, but it would be a very cool place to have one of those scripted shiny events. Like, you would just have a shiny Smeargle in here. Maybe they were going for that. I don't know. Probably not. The legendary thing seems more likely. Just I don't know. If you really wanted to make a cave full of Smeargles for some reason, just have some kind of place like the Altering Cave. Don't and by the way, why didn't they just put them in the Altering Cave? I honestly, I have no idea what's going on here. Maybe if you look at the map from Skyview, it's just a giant Smeargle face or something. Event-only areas. This one kind of extends to other video games as well, but I absolutely love the concept of limited time areas, events, Pokemon you can get where, I've only experienced one of these, and that was the Seabreak Path with Shaman. Like, seeing that giant new area, well, I say giant new area, it's literally just a straight line heading into the water, but that's a memory that will stick with me forever, for eternity. And that's the thing with these limited time events where you travel to islands to get mythical Pokemon and whatnot. That's something that not a whole lot of people got to experience. And I know you can obviously access these through other means and whatnot, but actually being there at the time, experiencing these kind of events at the exact moment that they took place live, is something that's really amazing. And that's the reason why I put these kind of events in my games as well, so people have these unique memories that will be with them forever, for all of eternity. Since I mentioned the Seabreak Path first, I guess I'll just talk about all the Gen 4 events. There's not really too much to mention with Gen 1 and 2, obviously, because those were just distribution events. You had, the Mew that they distributed in Gen 1. I don't know if that was only in Japan and Australia. That might have been in the US as well. I'm not exactly too sure. And then in Gen 2, you had the Game Boy Mobile adapter, where you could get Celebi in Japan only, obviously. And then Gen 3, you had... we'll get to those eventually. I just wanted to mention Gen 1 and 2. But with Gen 4, you had, the unused Arceus event. I don't know if they pronounced that a certain way in the anime or the movies. I stopped watching the anime around Gen 3. So, yeah, I don't know how to pronounce Arceus. I apologize. I'll call him Arceus from now on. So, I always found it weird. I think the explanation for them not going through with the Arceus event was that it was too confusing for players. It's like, what? You had the Reggies in Gen 3. It's like, I don't know. that was a little bit strange, but you know, they did distribute Arceus at movie theaters and stuff, I believe. So you know, that's something. There's probably some other events with Arceus as well. Sadly, you know, you can't actually visit that glass staircase though after you have Arceus already. So you know, couldn't experience that event. You know, you have New Moon Island, I think it was called, or was it New Moon, or was it the other one that has Darkrai on it? I don't know. And you know, Seabreak Path, which I already mentioned. And I'm trying to remember. I don't think there was any other events for. Well, you have the Rotom Room. You know, that's I don't really count the Rotom Room though. Aside from that, yeah, there's nothing really else in Heart Gold and Soul Silver from what I remember. I think with the Celebi one, you do go to a unique area. I could be entirely wrong on that. But the thing with Heart Gold and Soul Silver is that Game Freak seemed to do this thing where they would distribute a Pokemon to you, and you already go to areas that are, you know, already part of the main game, part of the main story and whatnot. Yeah, the Gen 3 ones are the ones that intrigued me the most when I was younger, because I would always see videos of them on YouTube where you had these videos showing, and for some reason, they didn't show the Mystic Ticket or, you know, any ways to actually get the Birth Island or Naval Rock or anything like that, or you know, Faraway Island from you. I would see videos of people opening up, for example, a door in Little Root Town or something, and then all of a sudden being transferred to Naval Rock. It just, those kind of videos that I watched when I was younger would always give me this kind of eerie feeling when I would open up, you know, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald the next time, and then, you know, just think that there's so much more to these games that we don't actually know about. There's so much undiscovered things in these games. Just the possibilities were pretty much limitless. And, you know, I really do miss that feeling. Yeah, seeing places like Faraway Island, Birth Island, and not really Birth Island to be fair. There's nothing really on that. But places like Naval Rock were very mysterious. This has been me, Time Liar G. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope God blesses your day, your week, your month, your life, and take care.